Dungeons & Dragons is more than just a game. It's an adventure with lots of surprises. What surprised me is the backstory.
Monopoly's been bringing people together for almost 50 years. That's how...
There are board games that teach you about money.
Risk, Parker Brothers game of strategy and conquest.
About war.
Oh, why not buy insurance?
About life.
The Game of Life from Milton Bradley.
Dungeons & Dragons is different. Even with pencils, dice, maps, and figurines, this analog game survives the spectacular graphics of the digital revolution. Because Dungeons & Dragons is less of a game, more of a campaign, lasting weeks or even years.
It kind of took the gaming world by storm.
It's not about winning, it's about the journey.
A mystery, chasing down bad guys, and cooperating with each other to survive against evil in the world.
Confronting evil makes some parents nervous, which is also what makes it, at one point, controversial.
The 80s, they had the whole satanic panic.
Despite being misunderstood, it survives and thrives in a 21st century world dominated by cell phones and virtual reality. Fans young and old are still exploring an ancient fantasy world of wizards, elves, monsters, and yes, Dungeons and Dragons.
Brian Thomas, Goliath Barbarian.
Annie Rosenstock, High Elf Ranger.
Jacob Delmaro, Halfling Cleric.
Attack the Mimic.
In the corner of a candy store, these friends embark on an adventure.
Adam Cass, Dwarf Barbarian.
Latia Jaquise, Elf Monk.
Grimner, you seem to have two people next to you.
David Lewis used to fix car stereos.
14 and 4, so it's 7 and 2.
When he told me he's a professional dungeon master, I thought he was joking.
No, I was not kidding. No, this is what I do for a living. All right, Lulu, you are up. I do game stores, I do people's houses, I do games, parties, stuff like that.
Because in a sense, the way this game works, you're a storyteller or a story creator.
Yes. Quite often people will come to me and say, hey, we want something for my kid's 10th birthday party. Could you make it about him? So I'll write a whole story about him.
He starts playing in 1984, like many kids, in the basement. The 1982 film Mazes and Monsters is inspired by a true story starring a young Tom Hanks.
I'm a holy man. I never kill unless I cannot overcome the monster with reason or spell.
Some worry a 16-year-old child prodigy's disappearance from Michigan State University in 1979 is connected to Dungeons and Dragons, but he's suffering a mental health crisis. His later suicide is also blamed on Dungeons and Dragons. There are many stories like this that are blamed on Dungeons & Dragons because it references demonology and witchcraft. Schools ban it. Churches demonize it.
Down in somebody's basement, we didn't talk about it.
What was the mystique that everybody was worried about or concerned about?
The whole demons and things like that. The whole theory was it was real spells. These things really happened. And none of that was true, obviously.
And it was blamed for a lot of different crimes and ills of society, correct?
That was the reason that I kind of stayed underground in the 80s when I played. The 80s and early 90s was very much, do you play? Do you play? No, I don't play. Okay. And then they'd come up to you later. Yeah, I play. Let's get together.
All right.
In Dungeons & Dragons, you're not trying to beat someone. There's no real winner. Instead of competition, it teaches cooperation.
I've been teaching, running a lot of games for younger kids, and a lot of math. It's been teaching them adding the dice, decision making, how to make a decision with everyone else, cooperative.
Problem solving.
Yes, exactly.
Are you grappling with moral questions?
There's a venture I was working on with, do you help the bad guy who's doing this because he wants to win the love of his life, but he's going about it the completely wrong way? Or is he's the bad guy? He must be stopped.
Yeah. Chess is a board game that teaches war tactics going back 1,500 years. In the 19th century, the Prussian army develops Kriegspiel for the same reason. In 1958, Avalon Hill's Gettysburg is the first board game based on a historical battle. It's a hit. David Arneson loves it, but starts to incorporate fantasy elements, castles, monsters that inspire him and Gary Gygax to develop their own game that evolves into Dungeons & Dragons. The year, 1974. The place? Here, Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. They soon start a small convention.
It was an organic thing. It just kept growing and growing and growing. It's grown to over 70,000 people. Now, not all of them are playing Dungeons & Dragons.
Lon Lademan runs the annual Polar Vortex Game Convention outside Chicago. He discovers Dungeons & Dragons in 1977.
I was a fan of fantasy literature and good stories. And I was impressed with that game and what it was like. And I've been playing it ever since.
From E.T. in 1982 to Stranger Things in 2016.
Advanced Dungeons & Dragons action figures, a world where adventures never end.
Dungeons & Dragons is associated with the 80s, but new fans are discovering it.
And I'm going to make 2 attacks.
Latia Jaquise helps market the game for Wizards of the Coast, which owns the rights to Dungeons & Dragons.
It's a way to bring out creativity in you that I didn't necessarily know that I could do.
What skills have you learned that apply to real life?
Oh, goodness.
Other than storytelling, if any.
Oh, sure. Conflict resolution, problem solving. It's okay to fail. If you're played D&D long enough, you find out a way to make the failure fun.
In some sense, Dungeons & Dragons is the genesis of many popular video games. But unlike zeros and ones, the possibilities here are endless.
Video games can, to me at least, can be more difficult. They ramp up, they scale up to beat you. The video game is trying to win. Whereas here, you're cooperating with your friends. Dungeon Master doesn't necessarily want to kill your character. He wants to bring it along on the adventure and see where it goes. There's very few limitations to what you can do in Dungeons & Dragons.
Return to a world of mystery and adventure.
The adventure continues to evolve with online 3D maps that allow friends to play around the world.
Weather doesn't matter. If it's snowing and you can't get to here, the candy store to play, we can play online.
Is there a reason you play in the candy store?
It's a lot of fun. There's candy. I like candy.
Through the journey, they learn about each other and themselves. That may be the best story of all.